and putting a light there.
Item 12, City
Because when
Secretary.
somebody does get killed, he can come and sue you.
Item 12.
Item 12, presentation and acknowledgement of the Brownsville Convention and Visitors Bureau quarterly report.
Thank you. My name is Mariano Ayala, President and CEO of the Brownsville Convention and Visitors Bureau. Mr. Mayor, Honorable City Commissioners, City Manager. First of all, they always say never start with an apology, but I'm going to buck the system. I want to apologize to you as the commission. I should have been here in January doing this. My timing was off. I spoke with City Manager Kabler, and he told me January, and when I called him, it was too late. The last agenda had already been set. So I apologize to you. I should have been here last month. This will not happen again because now I understand the timing posting something. I've never posted an agenda item. This is a report on the first quarter of the year. I'm not one to be negative, but I am a realist. It was real hard to listen to the gentleman that owns those shopping centers and to hear the hard times they're going through. And it also affects the tourist industry. We're kind of in a tough situation here along the border because perception is reality to a lot of people. First of all, we had the economic situation hit us a couple of years ago. Then we had the flu. Then the violence that is portrayed along the border. A lot of people think we're right next to Juarez. And then the mayor brought up something like the Humane Society coming to do a story, a national report or something. All these are things that affect our area. But even with that, I'm proud to say I'm from Brownsville because we have so much to offer. But we need to stand united like United Brownsville. The rest of the citizens need to stand united. The first thing we do at the Convention Visitors Bureau at the beginning of the year is we try to promote our efforts in Mexico. We try to take advantage of the Mexican tourists coming to spend during the holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas. So we went ahead and advertised over $24,000 in Mexican newspapers, San Luis Potosí, Monterrey, Tampico, and Victoria. I have a letter here from Ms. Veronica Baca from Sunrise Mall that said that December sales were up almost 3%. Strong results for the holidays were fueled by the steady peso compared to the 08 devaluations. Increases in spending from Mexican nationals visiting from Monterrey, Tampico, Ciudad Victoria, San Luis, and Mexico City. So it looks like our advertising is helping. How I can prove this with hard facts, it's real difficult, but at least we feel that our efforts are working. Other things we're trying with Mexico, we're trying to work a monthly tour with Transpais, where they will bring a bus full of tourists from the 4 cities mentioned. We're also trying to establish a Destino Querétaro, Destino Saltillo, Destino Victoria. That's where we have people from their cities come to Brownsville, set up a shop, whether it's hotels, marketers, and what have you, and hopefully we start a city-to-city tourism highway. One of the efforts we try to do is reestablish our sister city relationships with San Miguel de Allende. I'm glad to say that I got a call on Monday from the assistant of the new mayor of San Miguel. She will be, sounds 90% sure she will be here to celebrate Shower Days and reestablish the communication now with the new mayor and her cabinet. So I feel good about our efforts in Mexico. We have a lot of work to do, but at least this is a good beginning. The last effort with Mexico is in December, I was approached by CBS Sports. They have a Mr. John Sinski who works on CBS Sports. He and 3 other fellow Michigan State football players adopted Ciudad de los Niños de Matamoros Orphanage. And because of that, they ride their bicycles to Matamoros, all 4 of them, and they also ride them back. What they had a story done on this man. We had a couple of places here in Brownsville was filmed. Hopefully Brownsville will come out in the documentary that's going to be presented right before the Super Bowl. So we're hoping, and I'm going to record it. I hope you all pay attention. But we, the city of Brownsville, hopefully will be shown and mentioned right before the Super Bowl, the audience for a sporting event involving football. If it doesn't happen, at least the dream was there. Other things, working here within our own region, I'm glad to say that we're working with the BEDC, Brownsville Economic Development. They had people from China, Russia, some writers come in. We were part of that entourage. We went to the island. We gave them a tour of the historic events and what have you. Gilbert Salinas sent out an email to, I believe, all of you, where the lady from China wrote a very, very good article on the historic aspect of Brownsville, and hopefully that will help us with tourism. The other thing that we're working with BEDC is that Mr. Salinas had noticed, and I noticed, an article at the McAllen Monitor, where the McAllen Chamber of Commerce is doing they're trying to unite all of the businesses in McAllen and work closely with Monterrey and what have you. We would like to work together with the Chamber, BEDC, and whoever else would like to join us through the efforts of BEDC and become united in our efforts with Mexico. The Midi-Culture District is another organization we're working closely with. And as a matter of fact, I have brochures from the Midi-Culture District. Ms. Cortez apologizes. She forgot to give you all one of their brochures, so she asked me if I would present it to you all. So if you would go ahead and give it to them. This is the brochure that we give out at trade shows and what have you, and make bulk mail. We've also visited with Pat Birchfield at the zoo. We're going to come up with a cooperative effort to bring in more tourism into Brownsville via the zoo. I've also spoken with Mr. Jim McNeil and his the Tennis Association, getting ready to bring the professional tennis pro tournament here to Brownsville. And then in June, they'll bring in the women's professional tournament. I'm happy to say in the last few months, we've worked real hard with the police department, the Chief of Police Garcia, Commander Avitia. In June of this year, we're going to have 1,200 to 1,500 law enforcement officers come to Brownsville and the South Padre Island. 2 years ago, South Padre Island was the host city. Brownsville will be the host city, and I'm glad to say we were having a tough time finalizing a host hotel here in Brownsville. We were close to losing it to the island, but I'm glad that the Holiday Inn came through. So Brownsville will be the host city, and it will be held at the Holiday Inn, the registration and what have you. I want to thank the City Parks and Recreation for working very closely with us, Mr. Chris Patterson and Tuffy Martinez with BCIC. Very good job, great team effort. We're talking 1,200 to 1,500 people. The beauty of this is that we have to have a great sales performance because we don't want them to come down here for those 5 days. We want them to come back over and over and over. This is a great opportunity to showcase Brownsville. I also went to Nashville in December. The purpose of my trip to Nashville, once again, I want to thank Tuffy Martinez with the Brownsville Sports Park. He provided me with a brochure showcasing the sports park. The reason for this trip was to go to the National Association of Fast Pitch for ladies. Over 1,000 coaches were at this conference. Mr. Denny Gilbertson, who represents Texas Gulf Coast Splash. What we're trying to do is start a spring break national fast pitch tournament here in Brownsville. This will last a month to 5 to 6 weeks. Can you imagine having 20 or 30 teams come in every week for 5 or 6 weeks? That's what we're trying to do here. The other thing is we're trying to work, working closely with BISD. I visited with the superintendent, and he has redirected me to the new athletic director, and I've missed him, Coach Tom Chavez, where we're going to approach him to see if we can bring in a junior college or NAIA or a Division III basketball tournament. The island at this time has a Division I. hopefully we'll come in with a lower division and have our own tournament here in Brownsville, but we will need some good-sized gyms, and that's where the school district comes into play. Another thing that we're doing, and we're very excited about, Commissioner Longoria, I want to congratulate you on this effort. I've been working with Ms. Lopez and her group at Riverside Kickball since 6 months ago, and I know you've worked with them very closely. Happy to say that the Riverside Kickball has won the state kickball tournament to be held here at Gonzalez Park in July. We're looking at bringing in anywhere between 2,000 to 4,000 kids. Just to give you an example, Hampton, or one of the, besides Hampton, we've already sent off RFPs to all the hotels and motels. They're well aware, Hampton, Holiday Inn, et cetera, et cetera. One of the hotels has already booked 120 rooms for that week. We're talking all 5 days. So once again, this is a very good effort between Commissioner Longoria, Parks and Recreation, and Tuffy Martinez. And the reason I keep mentioning them, I don't think they get enough credit. I want people of Brownsville to know that we do work together. The beauty of it, if one person comes up with an idea, now you're seeing everybody calling each other, we're meeting, and we're making sure that it works for the benefit of the whole city, and we all take credit. To give you an idea of things that have happened at the Visitors Bureau, for the first quarter, people that have walked into the Bureau, for the month of October, we had 686. For the November, 704. December, 884. For a total of 2,274 walk-ins. That gives an average of 758 persons a month. This is low by about 150 compared to other years. But at least they're still coming in. In other words, we're not completely forgotten. Bulk mail, big effort. Through the efforts of using Parade magazine on Sundays, Tour Texas, See Texas First, we have gotten direct requests from people with their addresses for bulk mail where we send them brochures of all types about Brownsville. In October, 4,423. November, 2,300. December, 2,300, for a total in the first quarter of 9,000. Direct mailings, an average of 3,000 per month. This is done by my staff manually. And you know what? We're excited to do it. We're proud to do it. Another way we're keeping tabs on people visiting our webpage, I have here where we have direct visits to our webpage from the world. Worldwide in the first quarter, we had 15,000 hits. 1,000 of them coming from Mexico, 621 from Canada. From the United States, in the first 3 months, we have 12,780 hits. Most of them, 7,000 within the state of Texas. If you remember, in my presentation, the PowerPoint, I told you that 53% of people that come to Brownsville come from within the state of Texas, and this goes hand in hand with that figure. So we've got 12,780 hits, from the United States, with California, Texas 7,000, California 500, Florida 300, New York 315. So at least people from around the United States are looking into Brownsville. The state of, and this was 51%, my bad, not 53. This is 53, Texas. 7,200 hits. McAllen hit us 2,000 times. McAllen want to know what we're doing. What that means is they're coming to Brownsville to shop, to go to the zoo, to eat at our restaurants. Houston, 450, San Antonio, 370, Austin, 320, Dallas, 280. Mexico, for the first quarter, we had 1,000 hits. Monterrey, 194, Mexico City, 174, Ciudad Madero, 97. So at least we're getting some hits. It's not as high as we would like to, but it goes with a trend that a lot of people are not traveling like they used to due to the economic situation. I'm here to answer any questions. Those are the highlights for the quarter. I try to give you data. I could provide copies to the city secretary to provide you at a later date. So,
Mayor, I have a question, comment.
Commissioner.
Being you said you're going to provide some information of your
Yes.
presentation. I don't know if it was in our packet, but I didn't see it.
no, I just finalized all this
Nope.
today.
No problem.
Yes,
One comment I would make, and
Yes, sir.
you're doing a lot of great work. I appreciate everything you're doing, Bean. It's, you know, I know we tasked you to do more with less, and so it's always very difficult. But I really commend your leadership and the board that you know, that's obviously doing some real good work. Our golf course, the city's golf course, you know, obviously, as you know, each and every year we continuously have to subsidize it, and you know, whatever we could do to bring down a tournament for the golf course and to keep that in the back of our minds, along with the sports park, but mainly because we want to get this golf course, doing better. You know, maybe not put it in black, but get close each and every year. So whatever efforts we could make to say, hey, we do have our city-owned golf course. I know we're always competing with Rancho Viejo and Westlaco and the island and you know, the courses that we have here in Brownsville, but whatever we can do to kind of help, and I know Parks is working on some things, I think that'd be great for us.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Well, thanks for all the work you do.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Zamora.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much for your very thorough report. This was my intention to let people know exactly what the CVB is doing, because
Yes,
there's a big misconception out there that the CVB and all CVBs in general are not warranted in this community, and we need it. And I think that you've proven that today, and I'm very happy to see that. I do have a few comments.
Yes, ma'am.
One on United Brownsville. I was specifically asked to be a tri-chair
Yes, ma'am.
of the Tourism and Hospitality Committee, and I was not aware that you were not included in that. So I'd like to ask you to be part of the team. I think it's very important that you are part of the group as as president of the CVB.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm probably going to be asking our chamber president as well to join us. But I want you to know that the exclusion was unintentional, and I apologize on behalf of Imagine Brownsville.
First of all, Commissioner, thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you for kind of opening my eyes to the needs of these figures, because it's very important for the people, and like you say, a lot of CVBs go through the same, but I appreciate your input during the summer, and it's been a great help. And just an FYI, Mr. Fred Rustenberg and Mr. Carlos Marin did call me, and they asked me for forgiveness for their oversight, and I appreciate what you just said, and I definitely will be a part of the United Brownsville.
Okay, I have a few more comments.
sir.
I have been asked to work on developing a sports authority board,
Yes, ma'am.
and I want you to assist with that as well. It sounds like you are doing some of the efforts that the board would request
Yes, ma'am.
of the CVB and of our sports park and of our parks and recreation departments, and I want you to be part of that as well
I
in
will be-
devising the bylaws.
I would be honored to be a part of your team, ma'am.
Thank you. And I have been contacted by someone I used to work with on South Padre, GJ Reyna,
Oh, yes.
of Bike Fest. And because they are taking less trips to Mexico, they are looking to have an alternative venue, and I suggested that we do something here in Brownsville, maybe at the sports park. So we can
Thank
work
you.
with
I would
that.
like to get his phone number if I could visit with you at a later
Mhm.
date. Appreciate that.
And one more thing on occupancy numbers. I'd like to know in your, forthcoming reports, some revenue numbers on occupancy tax as compared to previous years.
I have
Did
it
I
right
miss
here.
that? Okay.
I have it here if you want me to mention them.
Well, it would be helpful. Thank you.
Okay, and I get this from the city for the month, and this is the latest ones they provided me was through the month of November. We had a fiscal year 2009, $226,488. 2000 and right now we're minus 23.3% as of
So
November.
they are down.
Minus 23.3, and these are the figures I get from the city.
Okay.
And I provide this to my board of directors. And as a matter of fact, while I said board of directors, I'd just like to introduce my new board chairman, Ms. Gwen Benton. And I do have another board person here, Mr. Daniel Tequirina is present. So, yes, ma'am, I do have these figures on a monthly basis, and I will provide them to you when I make a quarterly report. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the commission?
I got one.
Commissioner Atkinson?
Going back to the sports authority, and you and I have been talking about it for a long
Yes, sir.
time, and talked to Commissioner Zamora about it. I think there's ways till we can provide a lot of heads in beds, as they say, for the hotels. If we,
Yes, sir.
Everybody's doing this across the nation. I wish each commissioner could go to some of these sports authority conventions, man. They're outrageous, man. They're just thousands and thousands of people. The teams conference,
Teams,
you know,
exactly.
there's literally a huge convention full of people deciding where to put big events for fast pitch girls, girls fast pitch, soccer, you name it, any sports you can think of, there's a convention that is held, a national convention. I think we should all just see it once so you can see how important it is to have a sports authority, because it links, I mean, like he said with that fast pitch girls, having 20 teams a week for 5 weeks, that helps the hotels, because every hotel owner that I talk to tells me they're hurting bad. I mean, they're hurting big time. You know, and that's where we generate sales tax and hotel motel tax to provide for these nonprofit museums, the zoo, and all that. So if the hotels are hurting, that means there's less money for all these nonprofits and other organizations that we support. So I'm glad Commissioner Zamora brought it up, and I think that's something that needs to be done. And we need to talk to our finance director. He's not here, right? And to get the funding, because there is right now the sports park is generating $40,000 to $50,000, whether it's every 6 months or a year. No, more than that. I think it's more. It's like 50,000 every 2 months. I want to say that. So if we can use that money and channel it toward a sports authority instead of putting it back to the general fund, the sports park will pay for itself. You know, but we need to find ways to do that and to give you, because to go to a convention like that, you got to promote. So you need funding to go to these places and do that. So we're going to help you with that.
May I say something else? Pertaining to sports, Commissioner Zamora, I attended the TACB Midwinter Educational Conference, and one of the sessions I attended to, and I sit on the advisory board for the Parks and Recreation, and Mr. Chris Patterson mentioned it. It's the National Association of, in April, Sports Commission is coming up in April. This is the same as teams, but in a higher level, in the sense that teams are organizations are looking to see where they can put their tournaments, okay, and they try to match cities. The National Association of Sports Commission, they're the ones that already have these tournaments available. What they want to do is, for instance, I asked them at the Midwinter Conference, they need to come and do a study of our city. And it's going to cost some money. But the reason they have to come and do a study of our city, because then they're going to match us with the right tournaments. So in other words, we're not just going to go to their conference and just sit there. We'll be able to sit face-to-face with the right organizers to bring the right tournaments to Brownsville. So that's coming up in April, and I think Chris might attend, and I won't be able to, but I know he's going to. So that's a good point.
Commissioners should go. I think you should check it out. Awesome.
Mr. Ayala, this is an observation only. I think Brownsville has the most or the biggest ecological corridor in the region, okay? And the most to offer as far as people who are into the environment, either fauna or endangered species or birding, and we also have a world-renowned zoo. I mean, nobody else in the region has what we have. In 1990, in the early 90s, we did something I think nobody in the nation has done. We designated the Mexican gray-headed parrot as the city mascot, the city bird, okay? We even passed an ordinance because back then they were endangered because they were being killed by people with BB guns and stuff like that. We passed an ordinance to protect them as a city bird. But I see where other communities are taking the lead in calling themselves as a birding capital and stuff like that, when we should be taking the lead. And I see them promoting our Mexican red-headed parrot as something for them to, you know, showcase in their city, when we're the ones that should be the ones taking the lead with that. Because we're the ones that did it. We're the ones that protected the birds when there were few in numbers back then in '90. And I don't know, we need to find a way to get the message out. Apparently it's not getting out because Harlingen and McAllen and other areas, they're doing what creating a perception that is totally misleading when you compare to what Brownsville has to offer as compared to them. I think we got more to offer than they do. And this is the birding capital, even though it doesn't have the designation. We need to promote that, market that.
I'll look
That's just
into
an
that for you, sir.
observation,
I'll look into that for you, sir.
because I think that's a big industry that brings a lot of money. Any other questions? Acknowledge? Can we have a motion to acknowledge?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Zamora, second by Commissioner Troyani to acknowledge. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
Motion carries. Item
Thank you.
13. Thank you.
Thank you, Bean.
Item 13.
Item 13, consideration and action regarding the use of city streets at the end of Palm Boulevard at the intersection of Mexico Boulevard in the former Amigo Land area for the 73rd Annual Char Days 20th Century Rides Carnival from February 22nd through March 9th, 2010 for carnival equipment parking.
Mayor Commission, this is our yearly request for the streets to be utilized for the activities that occur during the Char Days
Do we have a
festivities.
motion for this?
So moved.
We
Second.
have a motion by Commissioner Troyani, second by Commissioner Camarillo. Any questions?
Yeah.
Commissioner Atkinson?
I'd like to ask what we're doing, and trust me, I support the Char Days 100%, but I'm gonna be the bad guy here. The carnival generates a lot of revenue for the Char. It's a Char Days committee. It's a Char Days Association. They're a nonprofit, right?
Yes,
They use the streets, parking lots. They use a lot of the police officers. Do they pay a fee to the city for all these things that the city provides for them? Because I know they generate, just the parking alone that they charge during the carnival being there generates a lot of revenue.
Well,
Are we capturing anything back
they-
as for,
they hand the parking over to other nonprofit organizations, I believe,
yeah.
that maintain that funding for themselves.
But do,
But
do-
no, we don't make any revenue off the event.
Well, I know we use additional police force and possibly EMS or fire, and I know
Mhm.
other entities actually charge a fee to event organizers for the utilization of additional city resources.
That's correct. Now, what we did structure a fee structure that's just recently been approved in relation to events that occur within our city, within our properties. For example, Sombrero Fest, and now they have agreed and they have come to the city commission and they are going to pay us a fee. But we have not done anything with the other participants that participate during the events. There's I think 3 organizations that participate in the Char Day events. And it is correct that it is our understanding that they get a percentage from the carnival grounds, and that's given to the Char Days Incorporated.
I'd like to ask a question, maybe you know this answer. Sombrero Fest weekend, all the police officers are almost mandated to show up, and they're all on full force. They all work overtime. I mean, they're putting in 16-hour days during these 3 days. How much does that cost to the citizens of Brownsville?
We budget for Char Days every year. I don't have the exact numbers, but we go to 12-hour shifts, 2 shifts of 12 hours.
And
All
why?
offic- all officers-
Is that still a necessity?
We don't, I think we've cut back a lot on it over the years, but yes, it is a necessity. We have to go to 12-hour shifts because we have to have patrol officers responding to all the activity that occur in our city other than the events. And then we have to have officers that are working, for example, walking downtown, taking care of intersections and eventually directing traffic when it's needed in our
So they don't
Event.
compensate us to alleviate the burden on city taxes and,
city taxes.
I mean,
No.
just us having to pay for that.
You still haven't given me a number.
What number did you ask for?
The number, the amount of money it takes,
Overtime.
overtime,
Well,
and
it's
everybody on full force.
I'd have to look at the budget books to see exactly how much we budget, and I'm not sure the police.
Do you
chief
know
knows.
off the top of your head?
But,
And we've been doing it every year. We should have that. We should know that number.
well, we're talking, when we go to 12-hour shifts and every officer's working, we're talking overtime, we're talking a few $100,000, yeah.
A few
more
$100,000.
For the 3 or 4 day events, the 3 or 4 days that we're on 12-hour shifts. Now, we've cut back on Sunday, where we used to also work on Sunday 12-hour shifts. Sunday, we start cutting back, and we go back basically to regular shifts on Sunday.
What I would
But
like
for
to
Thursday,
see,
Friday, and Saturday, we are at 99% of our officers are on duty.
what I would like to see is the number of calls that are generated from Thursday to Saturdays, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I want to see how many calls PD gets on those 3 days as compared to spring break or.
But that's not the way to measure it. You can't measure it because the fact that presence deters the calls being made. It's the calls that are not being made that we should look at, because without their presence, we'd have chaos,
Yeah.
So I think that's where the value is, and also in all fairness, all these entities, they bring something to the community because they promote the community. It's an event that brings in revenue indirectly, maybe not directly, but indirectly, because there is nonprofit organizations or helping other entities with their sales of tacos and cokes and stuff like that. So everybody benefits as a community. Now, should they pay something to help us offset the escalating costs? Well, it's not fair to single out char days because we do a lot for Mr. Amigo too.
Right.
I mean, a whole lot.
Yeah.
And we have no voice or vote on that organization. They do it all themselves, and we're given tickets to go, but we have no say-so in it. We have no say-so who Mr. Amigo's going to be. We have no say-so what they're going to do. We have no say-so whatsoever. So it's not fair to single out just char days, because I think it takes all these entities to put this 3-day event that in a way, somehow the city indirectly benefits in many ways.
And I agree with you on a sense where you mentioned the key word, nonprofit, where I see Mr. Amigo not make a lot of revenue off Mr. Amigo, where Sombrero Fest might bring in $375,000 in 3 days. And every year, their coffers are getting bigger and bigger. They're able to bring in more and more high-profile entertainers, and I applaud them for that. But my question goes back, what is it incurring to the citizens of Brownsville where they can make a donation or a fee to use all these police officers during that time?
Well, you got a point, the mayor's got a point. We need the events to continue to bring in revenue and things like that, people to visit our city. And 4 or 5 years ago, and I think the chief will attest to this, we started looking at the overtime rate for officers staying 12 hours. So we basically try to maintain 8-hour shifts. It used to be we were at 12-hour shifts day and night, for 3 or 4 days. Now we go to 8-hour shifts, and we monitor that. And we have 8-hour shifts for patrol officers that are handling daily calls, and we also have 8-hour shifts for people that are walking downtown. What necessitates us having downtown people, downtown officers, downtown beats is the parades. We need officers at each and every intersection to handle the parade route, to assure that the parade goes through smoothly, and we don't have, for example, vehicles entering or somebody getting run over or things like that. So that's what really hampers. Now, the carnival does pay officers to work within the confines of the carnival, and they pay them out of their pockets. So some of the officers are working at the carnival grounds, and they're not working for the city, they're working for the carnival. So the carnival is paying a lot of our officers to work there. Sombrero Fest handles a lot of their security. They have a lot of security officers during their 2 or 3 day event. So I think we've really reduced the amount of overtime during that time, and we don't want the officers to be working day and night 12 hours or even longer due to fatigue and things like that. So I think we really have controlled that. So it's working a lot better the way we do it now.
We also have a lot of volunteers. Commissioner Gow?
I think it's important to not post not-for-profit organizations in a negative light if they're doing a great service for the community. And I don't know much about Sombrero Fest, but I do know that the Charo Days organization, correct me if I'm wrong, does a great number of things throughout the season, like visiting and performing for old folks' homes and schools and such of that. It's not just the day of the parade or the carnival. So I think we have to be careful with that, because they do all of that without charging any of us to go there. So I do think that they bring a great deal in tourism here, and they provide a great service during the whole season, not just that carnival.
Yeah, and I'm not just picking on Charo Days, I'm just talking about
Well, it's
all
good,
in general.
it's valid what you're saying. Commissioner Longoria?
The,
It's something that I think everybody.
the fee structure that we developed in relation to activities at our parks applies to Sombrero because they are utilizing our park, which is Washington Park.
Out of order.
But it doesn't relate to people, the carnival is not on city property.
And it just comes back to the budget and how
Commissioner Atkinson.
Can I interrupt you both?
Commissioner
Yes, sir.
LaGuardia has the floor.
This action item is to let the trailers park. If we want to have this discussion, let's post it as something else. The discussion is just to let the trailers park.
Yeah.
So why don't we just get it over with and decide we're going to let the trailers park at the end of Palm Boulevard?
And we can
But
have,
his
the city
question
wants a
was
piece of the gate on the
overtime.
next meeting.
His question was on the overtime and all that stuff. Okay, does anybody else have any comments? Okay, thank you.
No.
And I want to say this, whether we agree or don't agree how things go in every entity, we welcome and value everybody that puts together PD, Charo Day, Sombrero Fest, Mr. Amigo, they make our city shine.
Well, yeah, you know, I know we're off topic,
Yeah.
Commissioner Longoria is correct,
Yeah,
but I must say that it's other departments, traffic department, a lot of departments get together, health department in relation to Charo Days, all of us coordinate that. Obviously, vendors and things like that have to get health permits, so it's a team effort in relation to the most of the departments within the city.
Thank you. I just wish the entry fees weren't so high. Okay, we have, this is an action item. Can we have approval? We have a
Second.
motion by Commissioner Gowan and second by Commissioner Zamora. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Item 14.
Item 14, consideration and action to authorize a 60-day review on the design and work progress of the Brownsville Multimodal Terminal for the Brownsville Urban System.
Mayor, if I may, I placed this on the agenda. I've spoken with Mr. Kabler. He said that the city staff was going to do an internal review, and I'd asked that this be moved to the next meeting date.
I think it's a good move there. Can you table it? Make a motion to table?
I'm making a motion to table, well, not table, but to move, pass it to the next meeting date.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All
Nope.
in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 15.
Item 15, consideration and action on the acknowledgement and receipt of grant funds from the Texas State Library and Archives Commission in the amount of $51,246 for the provision of items for the library system.
Honorable Mayor, Commissioners, my name is Jerry Hedgecock, Director of the Public Information Services Department. The Brownsville Public Library System, for the 7th year in a row, has received grant funds from the Texas State Library and Archives Commission in the amount of $51,246. These funds have been allotted for items for the main library's children's department. We're asking for your authorization to proceed with this.
Move to approve.
We have a
Second.
motion for, let me call for the motion. We have a motion
Sorry.
for Commissioner Longoria. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Troyani. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Mr. Hitchcock. Item 16.
Item 16, consideration and action to authorize Brownsville Police Department to accept the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Number SU 09-A10-22248-01 from the Office of the Governor Criminal Justice Division for fiscal year 2010 in the amount of $66,179.88.
Mayors, members of the City Commission, good evening. This is a grant award that Commissioner Camarillo mentioned earlier in the meeting. It's a grant in the amount of $66,179.88. And our proposal at the time that we submitted this grant was to purchase radios to continue to upgrade our radio system to be compatible with a P25 system that we're mandated to be federally in compliance by 2014.
Okay, this is an action item. Can I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Longoria. I have a second by Commissioner Troyani. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 17.
Item 17, consideration and action to authorize Mr. Charlie Kabler, City Manager, to apply for the Texas Automobile Burglary and Theft Prevention Authority Supplemental Grant for fiscal year 2010.
Again, this is authority to authorize Mr. Kabler to apply for this grant in the amount of, I think I have the amount here, $67,271. It's a supplemental grant. There is no cash match on this. It would be for the purchase of 2 vehicles, 7 radios, and some other vehicle accessories.
Okay, this is an action item. Can I have a
Move to
motion?
approve.
Second.
Motion approved by Commissioner Triani, second by Commissioner Longoria. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 18.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 18, consideration and action to authorize amendment number 5 to the Brownsville Urban System Site Storm Sewer Utility Package for the Brownsville Multimodal Terminal Project.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Commission. Staff recommendation is to authorize amendment number 5 to the Brownsville Urban System Site Storm Sewer Utility Package for the alternate bid for May Street for the Brownsville Multimodal Terminal, known as the BMT project, to Spall Glass Contractors Incorporated of Harlingen, Texas, for a total GMP amount or guaranteed maximum price in the amount of $2,244,148. Now, this amendment 5 is for $246,035. This is for site storm sewer utility package for the Brownsville multimodal facility, and this is strictly for the May Street package. The completion for these renovations will be 184 consecutive calendar days as per the project specifications. And the funding for this alternate component under Amendment 5, which is reinstated Amendment 1, for the site storm sewer utility package will be coming 100%, it will be reimbursed 100% by the university. And also, they have an interlocal agreement between the City of Brownsville and the University of Texas at Brownsville, Texas, Alamos College. And this interlocal agreement was approved by the Board of Trustees on January the 22nd, 2010.
Okay, this is an action item. Move to approve. Motion to approve by Commissioner
Second.
Atkinson. Can I have a second? Commissioner Longoria. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 19.
Item 19, consideration and action to reject bids received for a term contract for purchase and delivery of trophies and awards for city departments for the City of Brownsville.
Staff recommendation for this particular procurement is to reject the bids that were received for this contract for the purchase and delivery of trophies and awards.
Why is
For the
that,
city of Brownsville.
Robert? I mean,
The reason why we're recommending rejecting these bids, if you look on your package on the tab sheet at the end, most of the submittals or the companies submitting bids did not include a bid bond as part of the, it was a requirement.
But was there a bidder that complied with everything?
Well, this is what I have so far. The only bidder so far, and I need to make a corrections to SRS Advertising. I contact the Building Inspections Department, Leo Garza and Evaristo Games, to check on their COs, just to make sure that all these companies comply with their CO to have an established business. And the only one so far that has a CO that submitted a bid bond is SRS Advertising. I know on the bid tab we were saying that it didn't have a CO. The thing is, the name that appears on the CO, it's a little bit different, but the usage of the company is the same. For advertising, on the CO it says electrical sign company, but but the purpose of this CO or the usage is for advertising, CO, a printing shop. They deal with all of those services. Now, the reason why I'm recommending rejecting these bids is because the whole purpose of this contract was to have a primary vendor, a secondary vendor, and a tertiary vendor, just in case if one was not available, if one was not able to supply the goods and services, then we have the
But
secondary.
Robert, that puts the people at a disadvantage if the bids are already known. You know, that's not fair.
Yes,
I mean, that really, really hurts anybody that went through the trouble, complied, and did everything, and they're the lowest bidder, and then now all of a sudden the rug's pulled from under them, and now everybody gets to see his bid or her bid, and it puts them at a disadvantage.
I understand that, Mayor. The thing
So
is.
let me ask you this, if we have a primary bidder that complied, you don't have a secondary or
Tertiary vendor, no.
we don't have that. Why don't you, is there any way to, from what you got already, just make a decision?
So
From what
far
you
the-
already have as far as secondary, not primary,
Mhm.
secondary and third.
If you look on the tab sheet, if you look at the prices, we have it by colors. The primary was in blue, secondary was in green, and the tertiary was in red. If you look on the third column, I don't know if you can focus.
Yeah, okay.
Well, they will be the only ones that have the complete line items, but the price is not the lowest. So it's at the discretion of the commission to make a decision on whether or not we award a contract based on those numbers only. Now, you got to understand that since we're spending taxpayers' money, we need to look at the best price there is.
But at the same time, we have to be fair. The American way
That
is
is
to be
correct.
fair.
We have the right to waive any formalities or technicalities as long as we
And
are
everybody
in
is
the best
entitled to make
interest
a
of the
living
city.
and make a profit, but as long as it's fair and they follow the process, they should not be penalized. Commissioner Ackerson, you want to say something?
Yeah, I want to say something, then, the one who got the Valley trophies?
Valley Trophy Services, the reason why they're disqualified.
Hold on, real quick. They're a new company, right? They just bought, what's her name? Lou Gracia.
Gracia.
She just bought this company, right?
I don't have that information.
Did you just buy this company? For 1 year, this place has been open, and you work out of your house, right? Okay.
That's what I'm going to cover right now.
That should not be held against her.
No, if I may, the reason why we disqualify Valley Trophy Services is because the address that appears on the bid solicitation, it's 827 North Central Avenue. When running a background check on the CO, she doesn't have a CO to have a business out of that location. That's a daycare.
Yep.
Is that a requirement?
That's a technicality.
Well,
Or is it preference?
That's a technicality.
it is, I don't want to call it a technicality. The thing is, everybody needs to comply with our own rules and regulations. I mean, you need to have a CO when you open a business.
You got the lowest bid from them, and you're protecting the taxpayers, and now you're opening it, you're gutting them out because of a technicality.
Well, it's not a technicality.
It's
They're
not.
supposed to have a CO, a business address. We need, the city attorney just brought forth on those pay loans, we need control. We need people to have a CO. We need to have people to have an address that we know they're an established business. We know that if something happens, we know where to go find them. If they have an address at their home, well, that's not a CO. Is that location a residential address within an area where there's supposed to be a business run or not? We'll get complaints about the fact that they're running a
But
business
that can be
out of
easily
a home.
corrected, that can easily be corrected.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, she can bid
That's why we
again.
want to rebid, because it can be easily corrected.
You want to address that?
First of all, our residence is just outside the city limits, and according to the county, we are not required to have a CO. And I know that other companies from outside of Brownsville also bid on this project as well. So I don't think it should be held against me that I am outside the city of Brownsville. The other thing is that back on July of 2008, I had a visit by Mr. Jaime Valdez, building inspector, insinuating that we were making trophies in our daycare business. I met with Mr. Omar Ochoa, told him we were making trophies in our home, talked to him about what the requirements were. He stated specifically that as long as customers are not coming to our door, we do not have a commercial sign out front, we are allowed to have a home-based business. Okay, that was one. Where we live at is just outside the city limits. According to Mr. Benavides of the county, we are not required to have a CO.
Who's Mr.
So
Benavides?
Mr. Benavides is in charge of the Cameron County. So I got his name from Mr. Gomez,
Your business is in my district.
which
It's on
is
Central Avenue.
Central Avenue is a child care center.
City, it's right there.
And
It's
it
right
has
by
a
McKenzie
CO.
Road.
But again, we
That's
receive
not
both.
outside the city.
We receive both personal mail as well as mail for our other businesses
not.
at that location. We are inspected every 6 months by the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. We are checked on everything. We do not run a trophy business inside that location.
You
I've
are in
invited
city
them
limits.
to come and take a look at it. I mean, what would be the difference if I have a post office box for my mailing address? Your bid form does not say physical or mailing. It just says address. Well, since I'm there at the child care center in the afternoon, I receive my mail at that location for security purposes.
And you've been doing business with the city under the same address?
Yes, sir. We
For a
bought the
year?
business from Valley Tin Shooters, who has been in business for over 25 years. Mr. Buhanas is still helping us. He is on our, with us as an
So
advisor.
this company's been doing business for
And
25
we've
years?
been doing business with the city of Brownsville for more than 1 year.
doing
Wait, this
With the company.
specific trophy?
Yes, ma'am.
business
This
has had
specific
business
trophy
since-
business, VTS, has done your awards for more than a year. We've done your tackle football. We've done all of your awards for the Parks and Recreation.
I just find this very unfortunate.
And like I said, I mean, I clarified this with Mr. Luna in December. I thought this was a dead issue because he told me this is being brought up by an anonymous person who keeps coming forward saying this. Well, I thought it was rectified in 2008. I went through the proper channels. Now here it comes again, and I can't help but wonder why this anonymous person keeps coming and
Yeah,
creating these
because
problems.
they're envious and they want to bring you down. That's what it is.
Well, the bottom
not
line is,
bad.
sir,
She's in the city limits.
we do not have the I mean, I believe in free enterprise. If somebody puts in $1 million showroom for trophies, I admire them, I welcome to them. I would rather service my customers at their place of location, which we deliver to the Parks and Recreation all the time, and the city of Brownsville. As a matter of fact, last weekend, we had to do plaques on a rush order, recognizing the football team. So again, the thing is that we would rather not have a fancy showroom, give you low prices, and give you good quality and service. And I don't think we should be penalized for that, and I'm wondering why this issue keeps coming up.
Who benefits from you being disqualified?
Well, if I was disqualified, SRS is the second runner-up. But I believe it's coming from a person who failed to put their $500 bid inside the package and was disqualified. And again, now all of our prices are out in the open. Well, it kind of defeats the purpose of having sealed bids.
Who's seen them?
Commissioner Trani?
Robert, what is the problem with awarding the bid to Valley Trophy Service and then asking for new bids for your second and tertiary providers? You've already got somebody who's complied with everything other than the CO, which is a technicality based on location. She says she's operating out of the house. She's already talked to your staff on that. So since she's already opened the bids, she's at a disadvantage. And the whole point of a sealed bid is to make this a private process.
I guess at this point, everybody will be in disadvantage, but you gotta understand the address that was submitted with the sealed bid, it's showing that it's inside city limits. Therefore, she needs to comply with city ordinance.
Correct it, Robert.
That's why you gotta reject it.
Well, it's like if I say.
Do you want us to vote on it, Robert? I'll move the question.
Okay,
No, go
if
ahead,
I may,
go ahead,
just
go
the
ahead,
last words.
go ahead.
If we're talking about technicalities, if you're calling a CO a technicality, well, then we can say that the person that didn't submit a bid bond, it's a technicality.
No, I've got a lot
And
of, I've got a lot of issues with technicalities, because if we want to start here, we can sit here, we can move over to some other departments, and we can start talking about some home issues, and we can start talking about all sorts of things, and if we're going to start drawing lines, we need to start doing that. And so my concern here is you've got people who, and the lines get drawn where they will on different occasions. We've got a person who participated in the process, participated in a sealed bid process, was the low bidder, and now they're being canked because, oh, well, they didn't meet this other criteria, which had nothing to do initially with where they registered their address, because they've been registering their address, I'm sure, there for years, okay? And so if we're going to put people on notice, we need to put them on notice now that we're going to follow all the rules, and that goes across the boards. The mayor was talking about the payday loan issue. I mean, if we wanted to sit here and nitpick on the things that happen here, you know, we could be here for days.
Exactly.
Okay, Commissioner, you can make, wait a second. You can make the motion approving this.
No, you can't.
And-
It's
and- yes, you
reject.
can.
It
Yes,
doesn't
you
have a
can. You can
motion to
make-
approve. It's
you
not a
can-
motion to approve.
I can vote against rejecting it.
You can make the motion to approve the bidder and put the criteria to where they go out to bid for the second and third. You can do that.
Let me ask a question real quick. I'll give you an instance, GT Sports. They probably didn't have a bond, right, a $500. This GT Sports does business with BISD every week, every other day. They've never asked him for a $500 bond.
I'm not worried about
Okay,
the bond.
hold on, real quick. Okay, how do you know he wasn't the low bidder? If he would have probably been the low
Well,
bidder.
let
Wait a
me
minute,
let me
he probably would
explain.
have been the low bidder if he would have
If-
been kicked out because that $500 bond issue.
Can you
understand
put
what
the
I'm saying?
tab sheet on the screen, please?
What I'm seeing is I've got the low bidder
Yes.
in front of me.
But we already saw the bids. That's the problem. Everybody's seen the bids. It's not fair.
Mayor, we do this once in a while when we think that, you know, it's in the city's best interest to rebid it again. This is not the first time that I bring a package over here, or a bid to be
But this is a
rejected.
small business operation, and there are the low bidder, and everybody knows her bid. I don't think it's fair.
If I
They're
can
not the
explain
low
to you,
The one that
can I
qualified.
have a minute?
No one that qualifies.
If you look at the line items in blue, that means those are the low bidders for line item. The ones that you see in green, they're the secondary. Now, the ones in red, those are the tertiary, okay? So if you look at Valley Trophy Services, you only see a few in blue, a few in green, and a few in red. That doesn't mean that they're the low bidders, okay? We're gonna go by the line item, and this is,
Commissioner, you want to say something?
Yes, I just wanted to know if this requirement was part of the RFQ process. Did they know they needed this?
it was part of the bid solicitation. It was said that it was gonna be, the contract was gonna be not only for one bidder. It was gonna be on a primary, a secondary, and a tertiary, in a way that we were gonna award the contract by line items, in a way that we're not gonna go only with one company.
Mr. Luna,
Okay.
but did it request a CO?
Yes.
Everybody was asked to have a CO as part of the bidding process?
That's not necessarily part of the bid, but
Okay.
it's common sense that most of the companies that we deal with should have a CO to be able to have a business. And I believe I guess that answer can be also, that question can be answered by the Building Inspections Department. But to answer your question, no, it wasn't part of the bid package.
And do we do this each time that we go out for bids? Do we require everyone to have a CO? Because, you know, I guess one of the issues, and I agree with Commissioner Royani saying, for example, if you look at a downtown retailer right now, and I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot, but if you look at a business that's operating as ropa usada, their CO is not for bailing or manufacturing. Their CO right now is retail. Yet we're not doing a single thing to that downtown business owner and saying, why are you bailing when you're supposed to be selling? Well, they're selling, but they're bailing, all in that one, within those four walls. So we don't do anything. We let them go. And that's what Commissioner Ronnie's saying. You know, here we have these issues, and yeah, we could be here all night. So at one point, do we say, you know what? Hey, wait a minute. If we're going to establish this criteria, then it should be across the board at that time, if that's what we want to do. And I don't know if we do. I don't know if we're going to hurt the business. Do we want everybody to have a seal? We sure do. Do we want to know where they're at? Yes, I understand, and I totally agree. But when did we decide that that's what we were going to do? That was going to be our step process.
I mean, you said it's a common sense thing, but we don't require it from her now when we're doing business with her.
Well, and that's,
Look, hey. Look, you are in the city.
hold
You're in my district. Stop saying that.
You don't
Mayor,
need to
Mayor,
yell. You
Mayor,
don't need to yell.
Commissioners.
Please, everybody
Look.
keep their cool.
What we're trying to establish is a control mechanism for all our departments to be able to know who to contact when they get trophies. What What they're talking about is, in the past, a department would randomly call and ask for 3 quotes from different vendors and identify the low bid and go purchase. And they would meet the prerequisites. What Mr. Luna is trying to do under the purchasing department is identify 3 viable vendors. Those 3 vendors are approved by the commission, and every department knows where to buy this kind of material that they sell. They'll call who's ever number 1, 2, and 3, and they know where to get the material that they want. This is what he's trying to establish, as we have done with other commodities in the city. And we brought all those before the commission in the past. That's one of the things the commission has brought up in the past that's been a concern. So not to give the burden to each and every department to be calling companies, writing down what company gave this, what company gave this, what price this company gave, and then trying to justify the purchase. We are putting everything under the burden of the purchasing department. The commission approves 3 viable locations where they can go buy this commodity. That's what we're trying to do here.
I think we all understand
And
that.
before, it wasn't being done this way, and that's why she's saying, and he's saying that, yeah, I've been selling merchandise to the city. But we're trying to control all that by having it all encompass everything under the purchasing department.
That's commendable.
And when we saw these, we had people that didn't have bonds. We saw people that didn't have COs, or we had someone that was outside the city, but yet their mailing address and where people were receiving is within the city. So we're not excluding anyone. We're saying we'll bring it back at the next agenda, but we need to clarify all these points. Now, if you say she's a low bid, well, you're going to get contested because other companies are going to say that's incorrect. She is not the low bid.
Who was the lowest bidder?
Hold on. Hey, may I have
Commissioner Tran.
this is my suggestion.
Good, I'm glad someone has one.
Okay, I'll move that we reject, but I also want Mr. Luna to take about 15 minutes on Channel 12 and explain how to fill out the form and the process for doing this, so that we don't have this happen again.
I think we should reject after. I don't think we should reject. I think we should move forward from this day on by
Well, the way it's
educating
titled
people.
is rejection, and so the only thing to do is either reject the
If you want,
motion or to accept it as
If I may suggest, I would say that we should move forward in educating in what the standard is to everybody, but not disqualify people on this one. Because
Mayor,
it's new to everybody.
you talked about the best interests of the citizens of Brownsville. She wasn't the lowest bidder. There's other lower bidders that were bumped out because of a technicality. So what they did is they went back and attacked Robert, saying, well, look, here's another technicality. She doesn't have a CO. So in the best interest of the city, it's best to reject it and do it the right way.
We should not have opened the bids, that's what I'm saying.
I
Now that
completely
the
agree with that.
bids
They
are
shouldn't have opened
open,
them up. If they had problems with them, they should have said, you know what,
bids
we've
are
got a
open,
problem.
it kind of puts everybody at a disadvantage.
Robert, I
But
would-
whatever the wishes of the commission, I'm just.
You have to
advocating
open them
for-
up because we don't know if they have bonds. Each line item has a certain commodity. One company might have bid low on one commodity and not the other. So we need to have 3 viable companies on Robert's
Why don't we
purchasing
do
list.
it like the paving companies? We rotate 3 or 4. Why can't 3 or 4 of these
paving-
trophy people rotate?
On the paving commodity, we also have the primary, secondary, and tertiary. The primary is G&T paving. If they cannot perform because they're busy or they don't have the materials or whatever, we go with the secondary. In this case, we can go if that's what you wish. Valley Trophy Services and SRS Advertising, they don't have the lowest price per line item. If you look on the tab sheet, the prices in blue are the lowest prices. Now, they don't have all the lowest prices. Okay, the ones in green are the second lowest prices. So if we award the contract only to 1 or 2, then it's not in the best interest of the city to pay a higher rate for something where we can get it
So
cheaper.
based on this thing that you have up here, everything in blue is the lowest. So GT Gold Sports would probably be the lowest bidder.
But they forgot to include a bid
They
bond.
didn't include their
The
bid bond.
technicality, just like she didn't provide a CO.
he also didn't submit a
Yes.
complete bid. That's why it was not
Everybody's talking at the
responded.
same time. You were saying?
It's an incomplete bid, sir, if I may.
Sure.
Yes, Dave. My name is Salvas Lopez. I'm the owner of SRS Advertising. I'm here to oppose the rejection due to the fact that I'm the only one that completed this bid, this closed bid package. And I do have the listings of all the prices, so it would be completely unfair for us to open up a bid again. I already know exactly what everybody else charged. Now, I have a 4,800 square foot warehouse. I've been in business for over 12 years, Mr. Commissioner, you guys know, and it's taken a while. I pay taxes. I'm established business with the state comptroller's office. All that stuff makes a difference when it comes to pricing in comparison to somebody that's working off their house.
Let me ask a question. So
Yes,
you
sir.
had a CO and you
I'm
did
the
a,
only-
hold on
I'm the
real
on-
quick, let me finish.
Go ahead.
You had a CO and you had a bond?
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to give him though. He did it all right.
I'm the only business
He's all-
that followed proper procedure for bidding.
So let him have
The
it.
conditions were written up. We had more than a month. They amended the bid twice. We were able to do corrections. They extended it by 2-3 weeks or so, and I still managed to finish the bid properly and complete the way it was written. You get all these multi-million-dollar schools that are put up for bid. One technicality pulls out your bid. No matter if you're a low bidder, it doesn't matter. And now, like I said, going back to the pricing,
He did it right.
I followed proper procedures. I can't, looking at the numbers just right off the bat, there's no way I can compete with somebody that's working out of their house. It's impossible. It took me 4 years to get my state contractor license. It's taken a long time, and it's cost money to establish a business. I've outgrown 4 locations in Brownsville. I've been in business 12 years, and I've outgrown 4 businesses in the last 12 years. And I finally got the biggest location that I have off Morningside, and like I said, I'm the only one that filled out the bid properly, with its bond, and I carry a $1 million liability. I do everything properly with the city. So now for you guys to go ahead and reject due to some dollars that are there, obviously all these amounts are not going to be given or granted all at once. I spoke to the purchasing department. It's based off the amounts throughout the year, so if it's going to be smaller quantities. There's some companies there that are ridiculously priced due to probably thinking that because one of the items listed 10,000 or 2,000 shirts of apparel or 2,000 trophies, they probably thought that they were going to get granted 2,000 trophies all at once. I'm a little smarter than that. I realize that it's throughout a long-term contract. But like I said, going back to all the conditions, the preparation of bids, everything was written up properly by the purchasing department. And I managed throughout a month and a half or 2, and it was amended twice for another 2-3 weeks, and I was able to fill it out properly. Now, I'm not saying I'm the lowest bidder, but I mean, it'd be unjust for me to be held liable for their inexperience of bids or for a lack of a CO or whatever it is that they're missing. So, I mean, I'm here to oppose the rejection and think that and like I said, I mean, the pricing might be a little higher, but I've been in business for over 12 years, and to me, I realized what the amounts were, and I bid as best as I could, and as cheap as I could go, based on what you guys were saying.
Okay, what's the wishes of the commission?
I move to not reject the bid, and I also ask that purchasing get on Channel 12 and explain how to fill out the package, and if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 12 minutes, whatever, and we do that so we don't have this kind of problem again.
Did you want to give it to somebody though?
I'm going to leave that up to the process, and however the form is filled out, I'm simply saying the way it is right now, I don't want him to rebid it, and...
So we got a motion to reject the bids.
Second.
Okay.
Not to reject.
No, not to reject.
Not to reject.
Not to reject.
Not to reject. Okay, do we have
The
a second?
qualified
Second.
purchaser would then get it.
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Zamora. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Aye.
Nay.
Who are the ones that are opposing?
Nay?
Commissioner
How many nays?
Longoria?
You just said
Myself, so.
we're opposed.
Let them do it again.
Okay. You got 3 nays? Your nay? 3 nays? And your aye, 3 ayes.
Mayor.
Is
there discussion?
The rejection?
Is there discussion, Pat?
Yeah, there is discussion.
To reject the rejection.
What I want to know is, okay, SRS came in, are we going to
That's
go,
not fair.
according to Mr. Triani's, Commissioner Triani's?
The only thing, I'm sorry, Commissioner, and I'm sorry that I went to Mexico City.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
But the only issue we had with SRS is that his business CO has SRS Electrical.
Speak a
It
little
doesn't
louder.
say, his address, his CO says SRS Electrical, it doesn't say advertising. So initially, our building official felt that he didn't know how to have the
Charlie.
proper CO. Now, in discussing that with him today, they've had a change of heart, and they feel he does qualify.
It was a specific use.
So,
The specific use is.
Again, I am so sorry I went to Mexico City and took time off. But we got a confusion here, and it doesn't seem like we are going to be
So
able
where
to
do we get the
identify.
continuing court
Okay, I'll cast
education
my vote
course
to
in
reject
city
the
government?
bids.
Can we all sign up for that?
I told you, let them.
You just solved my problem.
Well, reject and start from
Yeah.
where, sir? We
Yeah.
already know what everybody cries. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but it seems like there's not a simple answer, and in order to be fair, I think.
No, they'll have to lower their bids or raise their bids.
Lawsuit waiting to happen?
Okay.
I mean,
It's gonna be,
I agree with you, but also it's not fair, I think, the way it's being brought
Mr.
before.
Manager, he's bringing up a technicality of a typo that says SRS Electrical Sign Company. That's what the CO specifies.
But we're talking about technicalities over there, we're talking
No,
about.
no, sir. I'm talking about what the CO specifies. It's a specific use certificate of occupancy. The city knows exactly what I'm fabricating when I had that property zoned. Now, whether I fabricate signs or whether I do apparel or printing or anything like that all falls in the same department of printing.
So let me, hold on, real quick.
Yes, sir.
So what he's saying, and that if we,
Let's have a little order here.
real
okay?
quick, if we vote not to reject the bid, but to follow what was required in the bid process, which supposedly he's the only one that followed it, and that,
Well, not technically.
Not really.
Now.
No, we are rejecting.
seriously,
My vote
not-
is to
I mean, not
reject.
really.
Well, yeah, I voted to reject.
How,
Yeah, it's over. It's over, people.
if I may, sir?
Initially, Mr. Atkinson, or Commissioner Atkinson voted with me, and then he changed at the end. So my question is what is the vote?
Okay,
Some
it
little
was 3 to
accountability
3, unless somebody changed their vote. Okay.
So,
Your motion was to not reject, okay.
to reject.
Raise your hands, not to reject.
Not to reject.
Okay, you got 3. Okay, to reject, start over.
I'll have to
You
reject.
got 2.
Oh, let me ask a question, can I ask real quick?
No, you can't. You just need to
Yes,
I
go
just,
ahead.
I just
Go-
want to
go ahead.
clarify.
wait,
Hey,
By-
go ahead.
real quick, if it's
he's
gonna help,
trying to
if it's gonna
specify,
help,
Mr. Mayor.
If it's gonna help,
By-
certainly.
by
Be a
not-
little bit more specific
I
as to
just-
what you mean by not
exactly.
rejecting.
And that's all I'm asking for.
Right.
Let him ask the
Let me ask the
question.
question to Robert. By not rejecting the bids, what happens?
By not rejecting the bids,
We
the
don't have
city-
second, third tier.
We don't.
The number one issue here is that the whole purpose behind going out for bids is to get the best price there is. Okay? You need to have that in mind.
Okay.
Number 2, if you were to say that you wanna award the contract to SRS or to SRS and Valley Trophy Services, okay, how are you gonna award all the lowest prices if we're going on a line item by line item? And then the third, you're not gonna have a primary, a secondary, and a tertiary. You're only gonna have them.
That's the reason why you get 30 pages of descriptions.
Okay. Commissioner Gowan.
I had a question for Commissioner Troiani. By not rejecting, are you also saying that they should not reject, but go back and fix the technicalities so it's fixed? That's all I wanted to know. Well, but is that what you mean?
It's going to be up to purchasing to sit there and, okay, this is the
So the prices stay the same,
Prices
but
stay
they
the
fix
same.
their technicalities?
Yes.
Now, let me ask this. I need to understand specifically what you want me to do. If
Well, you know what? I'm gonna make it easy. I'm gonna vote to reject the bids and then have it go back and follow the procedures the right way.
Can I make a comment right before the vote? Wait a second.
Let's get it out.
I don't wanna kick you when you're down, but don't ever put me in this kind of a situation again. You and I are friends, but I don't wanna get caught in this kind of situation with our local vendors. Please get these things situated, please get them right, so that we don't have to have these kinds of discussions in open session, please.
It was written up properly, Commissioner. It was written up the way it was supposed to. I don't have any problem with the way he wrote it up. Not one problem. It was written up properly. Now, if the people, the other vendors do not have the proper documentation to be able to come through with their bids, that's their problem.
Robert, Robert, one more question, I'm sorry, just to go back.
Yes.
Is he right?
Yeah, he's right.
But
All
it
I-
did not
all I can
produce the
say-
results that he was hoping that you get second tier and third tier.
All I can say is that the specs, like what he's saying, they're correct. The only issues were that some of them didn't submit a complete bid, some of them didn't submit a bid bond, and some of them have issues with COs.
Do you
But
see where
he
this,
did everything like he was supposed to.
do you see where this is gonna come back to us on other bids? Yeah, that's what I'm getting at, Robert, not so much.
How will that be, Mr. Commissioner, if it's written up the way it's supposed to be?
Can I add to his motion? If he were to say, I move to not reject the bids and give it to the person who followed the procedures the right way, which is NRS, then I will do that. Well, then I'll vote for that.
Okay, you gotta keep in mind, you're not.
May I say one thing,
Yeah, sure.
please? I mean, I don't, try not to interrupt anybody, but I'm back here waiting, okay? First of all, the request was for a whole list of items. The only two vendors that quoted on every item was him and I, Valley Trophy and SRS. Now, the total bids for each one of us, I'm $30,000 less than him. It's right there on your papers. So whatever his technicality is with his CO, and whatever my technicality is between a
doesn't have a
mailing
technicality.
address
I see
and
that.
a not a mailing address. And again, Commissioner, you're welcome to come to the daycare center. There are no little children making trophies there, I swear to you. Okay? I swear to you. And the state will back me up on that.
Actually, I've been there to go look for the arena that the city of Brownsville paid for, and it's still at your property.
Again, I'm here discussing an item, and we said it's not supposed to be personal. So again, sir, let's be
Boys and girls
It's
professional.
not supposed to be
Arena, I
personal.
want it
That's right.
We're all, it's difficult for us, believe me, it's
So-
not easy.
And I understand
It
the
should be.
position that you're in, but I know that you have two vendors that followed, in my opinion, all the directions. We both followed all the rules. And I don't feel we should be penalized for that, and I think it should go through the normal recourse. And like I said, the numbers are right there. Now, if you were going to cherry pick every single item, and he's right, a guy in McAllen or Harlingen bid you $3 for a shirt because he thought he was going to get to run all 2,000 at once. Since we already do business, or I already do business with the city of Brownsville, I know that they are not going to order 2,000 shirts at once. So I'm not going to bid $3 for a shirt. I can't afford to do it. But the thing is that I feel, him and I both were the ones that complied with all the requests from the purchasing department, and I don't feel that either of us should be penalized based on a wording technicality on a mailing address or a CO. But no one else bid all the items. No one else bid all the items. No other vendor.
See, I mean, it's pretty tough. You got two good bidders and you got a big difference, 30,000.
Exactly, but you also have people that aren't here, like GT Sports, that can say the technicality of providing a $500
here's
bond.
Mr. Commissioner.
He didn't, GT Sports, and I got a call from his office, said, look, I've never heard of a $500 bond. I always do stuff for BISD. I always do stuff for the city. He's done a lot of stuff for the city. He's never been asked for a $500 bond to this time. And GT Sports have been around just as long as y'all have.
No, he's a good friend of mine as well, but
Yeah, I know.
if you notice, one of the conditions was, and it's specified very clearly on the bid package, that partial bids will not be accepted. If you show on his, he's got a no bids on the second page of all the apparel part. He's a trophy fabricator. He didn't bid on any apparels. And that was one condition, again, that you had to follow. You had to follow all that.
Yeah.
Now, back to the CO technicality part about it, if you're not an established business, I mean, you don't report to the state comptroller's office, you don't pay taxes, you don't pay your quarterlies. I don't know how you go about in running business. I started off at my house 12 years ago, and I only lasted there 3 months because of the same thing. The comptrollers wanted to know, or the city wanted to know, where's your business at? How is it you're running, how is it you're printing and cutting vinyl and et cetera, off your house? I had my billing
She
address.
pays taxes that she
Mayor.
records.
Well, regardless of what it is, she's showing an address based on Central where you say she's
I
on
know
city
what she
limits.
is.
Mayor, Mayor, if I
Yeah,
may,
go ahead.
just make a quick comment, I think it's very clear, if we don't reject these bids, it's gonna be given to one company versus someone else, and even at that, it's at a higher price than everyone else.
I understand that
And so-
completely, sir.
And so I think we could all agree that there was a technicality on both sides, and for everyone. That's
Well,
on
I
this-
don't agree with that, because
well,
mine
We
was
didn't have a
done on a
technicality.
typo
Well,
that was
no,
done there at
there
the
is.
city.
What was
Has
your
got nothing-
technicality?
There
What was your
is.
There's nothing there. It's on my part, I filled out properly. Somebody called in the purchasing department saying that I had no CO on my business. I went through the rezoning committee, I went through you guys and city commission, you guys approved my
But
location,
doesn't
my
yours say
establishment,
signs instead of trophies or something like that?
et cetera. I mean, Mr. Gomez,
So
is he here?
So again, I'm saying, why would we go and award something when we know that this wouldn't be the right thing to do?
If you
the
do
right
that and you
thing to
reject,
do?
sir, that leaves up everything up in the open.
Okay, there is a motion, let's end this right now. There is a motion, there's a motion to reject the bid.
Not to reject the bids,
That
but
was his motion.
oh, to reject the
Let's-
bids.
Not to reject it, not to reject it. Okay?
But,
So there's a vote here. How say you? Let's go. Those who want not to reject, raise your hand. Not to reject. 3. Okay, to reject, raise your hand. 3. I'm gonna go with the reject. Let's start all over again. Okay? I hate to do it, but I think this is the only thing we could do.
Fair enough.
Under circumstances. Can we,
Move to adjourn.
can we have a motion to adjourn? Can we get that?
Motion.
We have a motion. Can we have a second?
Charlie, I called him.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Motion carried.
Specified, I applied as SRS advertising, regardless of what they put on there, man. No, that has nothing to do with it. The way they write it there has nothing to do with it.
If we call technicality.
No, how do we go on?
Wasn't